everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 511 for the 19th of July for the Ukraine war, or the special military operation in Ukraine. Let's start off with the biggest news. The Russian Defense Ministry has announced the close down of the Black Sea, certain part of the Black Sea. Particularly, we are talking about the northwestern part and the southeastern part of the Black Sea. Basically, they are trying to protect the crossing over at the Crimean Bridge, and so I believe that they have decided to close pretty much something like this. I know it looks like something, but it's not what I'm drawing. So anyway, so because of the attack on by the Ukrainians at the Crimean Bridge, which just triggered the Russians to become paranoid. So, and since they have their naval base over at Novorossiya, and they have the Black Sea Fleet over here, so it makes sense that they want some kind of a booby over here. I mean the no sail zone over there, and then the other one is actually towards the Odessa and Mykolaiv. They don't want Ukrainian vessels to be traveling to Odessa anymore. They say that any vessels moving towards Odessa or Mykolaiv, or basically Ukrainian ports, will be under the suspicion of transporting weaponry, and they will probably intercept it. I don't think they'll sink it, but they will intercept it, and if they cannot intercept it, then maybe they will sink it. So the other booby over here, I mean the zone here will be closed down. So anyway, that's information as per by Russian Defense Ministry. Is in connection with the end of the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Basically, the Russians will retake all the water of the Black Sea towards Ukrainian ports, and they will be regarded, all vessels will be regarded as potential carriers of military cargo, and also the countries of such vessels will be considered involved with the Ukrainian conflict. This does not really do much, to be honest, to be considered as involving with the Ukrainian conflict, since so many countries, Japan, Poland, and UK, France, whatever, they are all considered involved with the conflict, but it doesn't really do much. So I think it's an empty threat, put it this way. So let me adjust the camera. So as you can see, it's the northwestern and southeastern part of the international water of the Black Sea will be now dangerous for navigation, because there is now attack dolphins attacking them. There is also missile strikes. It's a continuation of the previous nights of missile strikes. They have continued to hit Odessa, and particularly for this one, we are talking about the air base over here near Kropyvnytsky, or basically they call it the Kanatovo air base, and it was struck by the Russian missiles. So 2 nights of missile strikes already. So some people tell me that this is nothing to do with the missile strikes are nothing to do with the Crimean Bridge. They say that it's the end of the grain deal. I think no. I think it's a lot to do with the Crimean Bridge strike, and I think Putin is just out for revenge. It's like a disrespect to the great Russian Empire. And moving on to the Southern Front. At the Southern Front, there's a geolocation. This actually I wrote wrong. This Ukrainian forces. Ukrainian forces over at this position within Dacha. So the Russian forces in the video showed that they actually shelled this position. This area here, which suggests that there are Ukrainian forces here, and this also expands the Ukrainian control at Dachi, which means that the Ukrainians have bigger control over this region here. The Russians still have not really dared to go near it because the Ukrainians are ready for any attack, but the Russians are just shelling the Ukrainian forces over this position. Moving into the Zaporizhzhia Front, at the Zaporizhzhia Front, there is no actions over at the Kayamsky sector. Over at Orikhiv sector, the Ukrainians continue their attack over at Robotine. However, in the latest information, what we do seems to have is that the Russians are the one on the counter-offensive. Maybe it's just a small counter operation because these motorized infantry units they're attacking Ukrainian troops that is trying to attack forward. So it could be the Ukrainians attacking, it could be the Russians counter-attacking, but no, for the motorized infantry units to be attacking them means that they're actually really close to each other. So fighting is still ongoing. It could be blue, it could be red in terms of this icon. Either way, it's the same. Ukrainians are attacking, Russians are counter-attacking, and the clash is somewhere around here. We are unclear where the exact front line is at this moment. That's all from the Orikhiv sector. At the Huyaipole sector, there's some probing attacks over at Mafopil, with the Russian Defense Ministry mentioning some Ukrainian recon forces engaging them. And that's all from the Huyaipole sector. Into the Velika Novosilka sector. At this sector, the Russians are seemingly on the counter-offensive. There's fighting reported towards Makarivka in the area of Staromayoske, south of Rivnopil and north of Prione. The Russians seems to be on the offensive in this region here, reporting from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry about the attacks towards the north of Prione. The one at south of Rivnopil is being reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. Similarly for the one near Staromayoske and Makarivka. The Russian Defense Ministry in a separate report reported that I think it's the same report actually, reported that they have disrupted some Ukrainian recon forces in this region. Maybe the Ukrainians are trying to find the weak spot or know where the defense line is, and they got hit by Russian forces. So fighting in this area here from the Ukrainian side seems to have died down somewhat because the Russians seems to be on the move now. There's a Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 shot down over Rozdone, which is over here, Rozdone. So this is shot down by the Russian Air Force. So yeah, so this is the first shutdown of a Ukrainian aircraft, I think, for quite a few days already. We haven't seen a Ukrainian aircraft getting shot down for some time. And moving into the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, we have a geolocation of Ukrainian forces at this position. So that actually cleans up the front line for us, knowing that the Russians are actually quite close to the Ukrainian controlled Manageri. The Russians probably are still, fighting to try to recapture this position, but we do not really have reports of fighting in this region over the past 24 hours. Fighting ongoing, continuing at Marinka. Ukrainian Defense Ministry said that the Russians are attacking, and the Russians say that the Ukrainians are attacking as usual. And moving on, over at Krasnohorivka, there is fighting reported near Krasnohorivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Not sure where the vector of attack comes from, and I'm not sure if you can hear this. There's some construction work happening around my just upstairs, so I'm not sure if it will affect the audio. Anyway, there is moving into the Avdiivka Front. This is Avdiivka Front. At the Avdiivka Front, the Nevsky fighting seems to have flared up. Ukrainian Defense Ministry said that they reportedly have repelled Russian attacks in the area of Nevelsky. However, information from the Russian Defense Ministry reported that the Ukrainians are the one attacking. So we're not too sure what's the situation. Most likely the Russians are attacking, I think. And then over at Pervomaisky, the Ukrainians are continuing their Ukrainian offensive over at the Avdiivka Front. Fighting reported at Pervomaisky and Zheveny, reporting all coming from the Russian Defense Ministry. In the northern flank of the Avdiivka Front, this Avdiivka city, the Russians are on the offensive over at Vasily. Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, reported that the Russians have some partial success near Vasily. We do not have information exactly where is this success, but the Russians are doing some push over this region here. And that's all from the Avdiivka Front. Moving into the New York Front, we have nothing at the New York Front. Into the Bakhmut Front. This is Bakhmut Front, and this is Bakhmut City. At the southern flank of the Bakhmut Front, the Ukrainians are on the offensive. There's fighting reported towards Andriivka, this is Andriivka, and they are fighting towards Klishevka from the south, from the north and from the western part of Klishevka. information about the Avdiivka attack come from Ryba, the pro-Russian source. According to another pro-Russian mapping, it shows that the Ukrainians are attacking in a multiple directions across the entire front line. So the Russian lines current over this region here in the southern half of the Bakhmut Front is under tremendous pressure from the Ukrainians. At Klishchiivka, information comes from Deep State UA. They say that the fighting continues in the north and the west of Klishchiivka. And at Klishchiivka itself, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that they will attack at the northwest of Klishchiivka, whereas Ryba reported that the fighting is at the northwest of Klishchiivka as well. They say that the Ukrainians are continuing to put in more and more reinforcement to try to hold the high grounds and the landings. Landings probably is just what they call by the places where they have captured. So fighting's ongoing for Klishchiivka. I think Klishchiivka might not be able to be held. I think it will fall to the Ukrainians over the next few days. This is the gut feeling I have. Moving on to the northern half of the northern flank of the Bakhmut Front, we have no reports of fighting over the Bakhmut region. Fighting, however, is being reported at Budanivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. This is a continuation of yesterday's report, with Russian forces somehow attacking in this area here. At Dubovo Vasilivka, the Ryba reported that the the Ukrainians are attacking at Dubovo Vasilivka. This is the wrong color, and so the Ukrainians are attacking in this area here, and Deep State UA reported the fighting is at Orikovo Vasilivka. So maybe it's these two directions. Based on the Deep State UA's mapping, I feel that the advance was actually around here in the northern part of Orikovo Vasilivka along the highway. So, and that's all from the Bakhmut Front. Moving into the Siversk Front. At the Siversk Front, we have reports of fighting at Bilohorivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Why I put this Bilohorivka was because they did not indicate that this is part of Luhansk. So most likely is the Ukrainians are attacking towards Bilohorivka in this direction. Over at the Luhansk Bilohorivka, we also have reports of fighting in the separate report. Center group of forces reportedly have repelled attack in Bilohorivka. As you can see, they bracket Luhansk. So the Ukrainians are attacking over this region here. Interesting information suggests interesting information within this this report is that they mentioned Shepelivka and Kreminna. So Shepelivka is actually here. So to say the Ukrainians are attacking in this area here and towards Kreminna, so it's very interesting. I'm not sure where the Shepelivka attack comes from. Is it within the forest region or is it from the Bilohorivka? Is kind of unclear. And so no, of course, they say fighting near Kreminna is definitely untrue, because the front line is actually pretty far away. Kreminna is actually like 7-8 kilometers away from the front line. So they are definitely nowhere close to Kreminna, but this is just the way how they report. Over the Kreminna front itself, the Russian Defense Ministry continue within, I said, they attack towards Kreminna. So the Ukrainians are attacking within the forestry itself. There is some probing attacks over at Toske, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry as well. So the fighting seems to have died down. The Russian offensive over the Kreminna also seems to have been abandoned at this moment, or at least they have paused it. No, they probably get the PR victory they want. They know that they say that the Russians are attacking, having some massive offensive, and yeah, like I said, the Russians tends to have they don't commit through their entire offensive. They tends to just give up very quickly. It will just be a few days of offensive and then they just stop. So as you can see, this is a good example of it with the Russians. Kreminna offensive seems to have ended. Moving into the Svatove Front, at the Svatove Front, the Ukrainians are trying to counterattack over at Kamazanivka. Reporting from the Russian Defense Ministry, they said so maybe the Ukrainians are just trying to recapture lost ground, with the Russians having these salients along the river, the Zaporizhzhia River. So moving on, into the northern part, there is fighting reported at Novoselivsky. So this offensive or no operation at Novoselivsky have also dropped out of attention. No, this information coming from Deep State UA. Deep State UA is the only one mentioned about the fighting at Novoselivsky. Everybody just seems to forget about Novoselivsky entirely. And that's all from the Svatove Front. And moving into the Kupyansk Front. This is Kupyansk. At the Kupyansk Front, the fighting now is mainly around the south of Masyutivka, with fighting reported on the western part of Liman Pershi. The Russian Defense Ministry mentioned that they have captured more than 1 kilometer in depth and 2 kilometers wide, and have captured the Mochanovo railway station. Mochanovo railway station is around here, if I'm not wrong. So this is the one that they have captured. And then information coming from Russian Defense Ministry again, in a separate piece of information, suggests that they have captured more grounds, and they are fighting near the Sinkivka railway station. Sinkivka railway station is actually here, which means that the Russian front line is probably looks like this, with the Russians actually pushing south and southwest of Liman Pershi. And then in another piece of information by Remelin, the pro-Russian source reported that Sinkivka is now being attacked from 3 different directions. In this, from the north, northwest, and the western direction. The Ukrainian forces are holding Sinkivka, and this piece of information is a one-liner. We cannot tell. We need more information to corroborate this information coming from Remelin. But if you look at the big picture, we does see that the Russian forces are making a significant push in this area here, and the Ukrainian forces is currently trying to hold back, because the Russians can push all the way down and put pressure on Kupyansk. And if the Russians come to anywhere close, they can actually put fire control over the main road, and that would be disastrous for the Ukrainians. And there is nearby over at Kutivka, Ukrainian Mi-8 got shot down by surface-to-air missile, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And that is the summary and the SITREP for the day of 511 for the 19th of July. Do subscribe, press the like button, and I'll see you in the next update.